Yeah, so we're back here in Maranello after my first F1 race. Feeling recovered, first of all, because the few days after I was a little bit achy, let's say. It was a really tough race physically. Yeah, talking about my performance, I was quite happy overall. It was very difficult in extreme circumstances, one of the most difficult tracks on the calendar, but I loved every moment and it was such a fantastic experience. So I was actually having lunch on Friday. Everything has changed in these previous 2 weekends. So on Friday I was having lunch, having done the pole in F2. I was getting ready to start P10 in the sprint race and trying to figure out the best way to go about that. When I got the call that I would be doing F1, it was quite a surprise and quite a happy surprise, of course. Not the circumstances that I wanted to make my debut. Through the misfortune of someone else, but still, it was a great opportunity. Just tried to get up to speed as quickly as possible. We managed to do a short race run just to try and get a scan of the degradation and for me also to get some more laps. And then it was pretty much straight into qualifying. During the dark, big step in track temperature and grip, and I was disappointed not to be in Q3, but anyway, I think it was a decent performance. At least Saturday in the race, I feel like I managed to prepare a lot better. We had a full day to do so rather than a couple of hours notice. And yeah, overall I was quite happy with how the race went. It's a childhood dream to come true to make my debut in a Ferrari, first of all. It's an incredible achievement and I'm very proud of that. And also to become the youngest British driver is quite a statement as well. And I think I was the third youngest driver ever, which is pretty awesome. I'm on the podium. I think the thing that surprised me the most about an F1 weekend was the amount of admin that goes on. You know, there is so much media activities, so much more technical stuff than we have in F2. So for a race at 8 p.m, I was already on track at lunchtime to prepare. So the days are very, very long, full of hard work. And yeah, that was a surprise, but a happy one. I think going through all the procedures was quite easier than I expected, mainly because we'd practiced them so many times on the simulator, which is a huge testament to the simulator at Ferrari because I was able to jump straight in the car. All of the switch changes that they asked me to do, I was able to do quite easily. So that shows that the hard work has been paying off back in the factory. The difficult side was, of course, the physical side. I expected it to be tough because already in F2 it was a physical track. So jumping up to F1, I was a bit scared. I just about managed to do it, but it was a big challenge. Yeah, it's been very useful, like I said, to use the simulator. First of all, I did a lot of preparation for Jeddah anyway to try and help the team. So by the time I actually jumped on track, it was a seamless transition almost. I was pretty much straight up to speed. And also having driven the 2022 Ferrari in Barcelona and even the 2021 car in Fiorano, I was able to kind of get up to speed quickly because the speed wasn't a surprise, I think if it was the first time ever in an F1 car, I would have been struggling a bit more. So yeah, the hard work behind the scenes is paid off here. The junior categories have prepared me really well to make the step into F1. First of all, that I'd been to all the tracks, so that was one less thing to learn. I think a new track and a new car would have been a little bit more difficult. And also, it shows that the top guys in F2 and F3 can jump into F1 and be competitive because the level is very high in the junior categories and they're all teaching you the same things. So I think it's a testament to F2 and F3 that I was able to jump straight into the F1 and be competitive. The race was pretty demanding physically, I won't lie. I think there's a few photos of my neck during the race which struggled. I would say I was F1 ready, but Jeddah is another step. It's a tough track. It's one of the highest lateral G tracks. You spend a lot of time in cornering, and even the straights have little kinks in them that mean that pretty much the whole race, all 50 laps, you're struggling with the neck. So yeah, I did struggle. It was difficult, especially when I got out of the car. But the adrenaline helps me get through the race pretty easily, and afterwards I felt the pain. It was great to work with F1 drivers. You know, I wouldn't consider myself an F1 driver despite having done a race. I'm still in F2, and it's great to see the level that they perform at, that they work at. It's something that I strive to be able to do. And to get the tips from Charles during the weekend, especially in qualifying, but even before the race, and Carlos during the race, he was pretty much guiding me through it, through what he saw in the data, and was feeding it to my engineer. It was fantastic, and it really helped me speed up the learning process, and I get up to speed a lot quicker because of them, so it was amazing. I did get a lot of congratulations and also good luck messages before the race. My favorite one was from Sebastian Vettel. I'm a huge fan of his since the early days, and yeah, I was even up until he retired, I was always rooting for Seb. So to get a message from him was really special, and you know, to know that he was kind of watching me was put a bit of pressure, but it was a nice pressure. As well from Stefano Domenicali, he sent me a really nice message after the race, which was really happy. And I got a hug from Lewis as well after the race. That was nice that he kind of recognized the race for me, and that was a proud moment for myself. I think, you know, from the outside it was a successful weekend, but I'm a perfectionist, and I made a lot of mistakes that I don't blame myself for, and obviously I kind of expected to make mistakes, but for example, not making it to Q3, I should have made it to Q3. The car was fast enough, so that was my bad. It was a really scruffy Q2 session that meant I didn't make it through by the skin of my teeth, so that was unfortunate, but you know, it's all learnings that I'll put into place next time. Hopefully there will be a next time. And also during the race, I lost quite a lot of time trying to overtake slower cars. Just not using my battery in the most efficient way because it's new. I've never had to use the ERS in offensive or defensive way. So it was the first time for me, and I maybe wasn't the best with it, especially with Nico, who did a great job keeping me back. So I lost a lot of time, and I could have even finished one place higher, I think, if I managed to be a bit more efficient with my overtakes.
So only in Saudi, being a very short time and being a very last call for driving in FP3 and then for Korea race, had to go through many procedures and information to get ready for the race. In a race weekend, the most difficult part is focus, so have very clear objectives. With team, we focus on the basics, so how to optimize the single lap in quali, how to drive the car in the race, so thinking about the pace, about tires, and not about the best lap, and that is what young drivers tend to do. And then how to approach the race, starting from the start, the pit stop phase, the pit stop release, that is very tricky with the traffic. So all the minimum amount of information that you need to approach a race weekend. We avoid to go to small details, to over-optimize, to not overload him, and to have him on board in what is really important, not being lost in small details again. Having a young driver in the car with limited experience in F1 is challenging because F1 is very demanding. First of all, physically, the speed of the car and the accelerations are quite a bit higher than other series. Of course, the experience in other series is very precious because they know how to race, they know how to drive, they know how to treat tires, but again, it's a different category. The other aspect that we should not deny is the pressure. You are in Formula 1, you have around you all the best drivers in the world, all the world is watching to you, and it's your chance in life. So what we ended to do with all the team, with the race engineer, with the rest of the crew, have been to keep him focused and avoid to get into the phase in which you have to show off in that weekend. That is very, very important. There is a easy mistake to be done in these situations. Formula 1 again is very extreme in many aspects, even physically. Race is longer than F2 race and accelerations in the car are quite a bit higher, so we took care also of the physical part of Ollie to get him ready. At the end of the race he was tired, but of course happy, so it was worth it. So in Scuderia we are very proud about Ollie. He is super good, of course, but what we have seen in Saudi is the result of the long project in which we invest in him. We built his experience, we built his capacity together, of course, with us, and using his skills and his talent. So he joined Ferrari in 22. He did many days at the simulator. In 23 he did 40 days at the simulator, helping us in terms of race support, in car development, and that has been a very good school. Of course, starting from the academy, starting from lower series. And then since last year we decided to introduce him to the track side, so we did a test in October before sending him in our team to be a young driver in Mexico for FP1. So he did almost 500 kilometers in Fiorano with us before going to Mexico. He did Mexico with us team, he did Abu Dhabi again, FP1 with us team. He did Abu Dhabi with us team in the post-season test, and then in January this year, in 24, we did one full day in Barcelona with the TPC. And this was aiming to get him up to speed for one day that would have been necessary. Actually, we are again very proud, very happy, because he jumped into the car in FP3 in Saudi. He was up to speed straight away. He knew how we operate, he knew how the car is, despite it's not exactly the same car, but very similar. So it's a big effort done by all the team in terms of preparation, procedures, details, technical aspects, and this has been super positive. Having the reserve driver in the car in a race weekend, of course, like in this case with a very late call, it's quite challenging for the whole team. So we needed to decide what to do already within the weekend. Weekend already started, deciding what to focus, get him up to speed. So it's been a big effort, again, done by all the teams, starting from support at home to all the crew at the track. What is different is that usually we operate with the drivers that are used to operate with us. So we work like, many things you don't need to explain, you don't need to go through, you take us done. With him, we had a very clear checklist with priority, with very clear bullet points in which we wanted to go through. So it's a matter of managing organization and not letting anything to the case, but having the control of the situation. All in all, at the end of the weekend, I think everything went well. I mean, we did all the sessions without problem. We didn't skip any lap. We didn't have any big problem. Result for Ollie was great for sure, so I think we have done pretty well. About Ollie, one thing that surprised me straight away the first day in Fiorano was October in 23. He went out for the first time in his life with a Formula 1 car. There was the mother there and the father there. And like the third lap that he did in Fiorano, new track, new car, new situation, he was already up to speed. So that is talent. No? He was a guy with 18 years old, and you never expect that so straight away he was up to speed. The other aspect to me that is paying off quite a bit is he's very calm, he's very focused. He's not panicking, he's not trying to find things around, but he's super focused on very clear things, and that is very, very positive. So I think he has a great future. I hope he can achieve whatever he wants in life, and I'm sure he can.
It goes without saying that we are immensely proud of Ollie's performance throughout the weekend. Everybody in SFDA was obviously super excited to see him have the opportunity and to see how well he took that opportunity, how he represented us as an academy, all of us, all of the youngsters and the staff. Super proud of him in every way, and we couldn't have hoped for more. I think we've seen from very early, in fact, maybe before we even started working with Ollie and introduced him into the Drivers Academy, we saw a mature young man, a thinking man, and I think we've always recognised that his strength is in his process, in how he operates, how he handles himself under pressure, how he's handled himself at every stage of his career that we've seen, with the staff he's worked with the engineers he's worked with the public, with sponsors. As I say, a great maturity and honestly a pleasure to work with. Now that, you might think, doesn't necessarily make a driver a fast driver, but I've always said that when you get to F1, it's intelligence that makes the difference. All of these guys can drive fast, but having the mental bandwidth to deal with everything that's going on around him, that's something that Ollie manifested very early in his karting days, in his F4 days. He was clearly very intelligent, and that was going to make him stand out, and I think we've seen that absolutely firsthand over the weekend. We've seen all the F1 teams now developing a young driver program, and I think a weekend like this really makes you appreciate the value of it. As you can imagine, everything in an F1 team is very, very heavily scrutinised. It's an engineering facility primarily, it's a technical challenge primarily, and we like to take control of everything. We take control of the brakes, of the gearbox, of the engine, to the minutest detail. And of course, when it comes to delivering performance from the driver, that should be no different. And of course, to do that, we need to have engagement with the drivers. We need to see them up close and personal. So we introduce them to an academy from an early age. We get them used to the way we work and how they work. And again, when you have a situation like this, and it's unfortunate that Carlos wasn't able to race in Saudi, you need that academy to be able to provide what the F1 team needs. On that day, we needed a driver who could deliver, and Ollie Bearman was that driver. Nowadays, the opportunity to go track testing is very tough, and the regulations are such that we don't have the opportunity to give these young drivers plenty of time on track. We give them a lot of opportunity in the smaller formulae, so progression through F3, F2 is vital to their development. But of course, a Formula 1 car is that step up. It is a big step from an F2 car to an F1 car. And Ollie has had that opportunity with previous cars. We've run him in Barcelona, we've run him in Fiorano. He's obviously done the end of season Abu Dhabi tests with us. So not a huge amount of time in the car, but enough for him to get familiar, enough for him to be able to go away and think about, okay, these are the important things. And that's been the focus on any track testing we've given Ollie over the last year, is to make sure that he's aware of what's important on the day. And again, I think we've been vindicated in that education, in that the basics were there at the weekend, the start, the pit stop, all the radio comms, and you've all seen how busy a Formula 1 steering wheel is. And Ollie managed that very, very well. So those basics are what he got over the last couple of opportunities in the car, either at Fiorano and Barcelona. Driving fast, that's just natural, that's talent. He can do that every day of the week. But actually operating an F1 car in the heat of the moment, I think really is a testament to his education over the last couple of years. What surprised me about Ollie's performance, I think if you'd asked me before he got in the car what I think he's going to be able to achieve, I probably would have said, I think he's going to qualify well and I think he's going to race well. But actually, when you look at what happened that weekend and the pressure that came on him very quickly from the media, from just the exposure, you sort of think, okay, yeah, but with his limited experience, he's going to slip up somewhere. He's going to make a mistake. And for me, obviously, I'm working on Charles's car during the weekend, and during the race, I'm very focused on what's going on with Charles. I had one eye on those last 10 laps as Ollie was being chased down by Lando and Lewis, and I thought, come on, Ollie, just don't make a mistake. And he was absolutely perfect. He was inch perfect. His best lap of the race was the penultimate lap. He was getting more and more comfortable, and you just thought, yeah, that is the test of the guy. In those last 10 laps, when you've got a 7-time world champion behind you trying to catch you on a soft set of tyres and you don't make any mistakes, that surprised me.
Yeah, has been quite challenging, has been very short notice. We got the news from the hospital from Carlos like basically actually 2 hours and a half before the session, so he was quite pressed for time, the whole thing, but we were prepared for it. So yeah, procedures were the main focus for us to go through with him. First of all, just to avoid to damage the car for any reason, so that was one of the main focus for us. And then we took it step by step, and just taking the experience we had with the drivers in general in the past, we put it down a short list of items to focus on, and we moved from there step by step. We went through the, as I say, starting from the start itself, that is already a big topic, then moving to pit stops, moving into the long runs, and qualifying was also difficult, to prepare, because there are sporting regulations that the driver needs to respect. So the time between the safety car lines, managing traffic, that of course for a rookie driver jumping into a car with the traffic is the very difficult task. And therefore I try to provide him the maximum information possible, given as you say, the short period of time available. One other thing that happened in very short time before the session was just we had to inform FIA, of course, for the change of driver. So they came into our garage and we had literally 5-10 minutes to prepare this test, the jump out test from the driver, and have them in our garage checking the legality aspect of the driver in the car, the height, the knees, and as I say, the jumping out, that was very challenging. The critical moment of the race, we had to support him, took him my experience with many years with drivers, so I tried to give him the best environment possible to try to release the pressure, because I knew that was super difficult for him. So try to support him, but try to find the right balance of it. So give him information, but not too many information, but at the same time to encourage him to express his talent, because I saw that he was a pure talent in the car, and give him his time in the car, and thinking about the racing aspect that I know that is very challenging, especially coming from F2, that you are of course prepared on the sporting side of things, because it's a very good category to be fit for F1, but you never go to that long distance into a race. So also try to have a contact point with him to see how physically he was supporting the race. I was challenging. Also the last few laps with Lando Norris coming and Hamilton coming, it was a very difficult moment for him. So I tried to give him the best information possible, try to keep it calm and perform at his best. Ollie's feedback was very good level. We had worked together already in testing, also simulator at times, so he was already part of our team. So we got along quite nicely together since the beginning. Of course, compared to Carlos, I had to take a step back in a way, because the experience, of course, is not there yet. So I had to, again, cut down the information I was providing in a very basic term, first of all, and then try to support him lap by lap to start with. And during the race also try to provide the minimum information possible to don't overload him. So it was quite different compared to racing with Carlos, but I enjoying, because when I saw that he was flying out there, I was super happy, and he was performing at top level. And I was quite surprised also to see the speed he had during the race, and especially close in the race, he was able to put down some good laps that was quite impressive. Yeah, handling the overtaking situation was one of the most difficult parts of the race, because jumping in the car only for FP3, we had only 1 hour session to prepare the whole weekend, and therefore we didn't have enough time to prepare the managing the energy, so the overtaking, the battling into the race. So of course you can do all the simulations possible, simulator also, and testing, but when down to the real thing in the race, you need to provide a different level of information, and also a different level of execution from the driver that is difficult to be prepared for, to be trained for. And we literally experienced the overtaking button, what we call it, just in the laps to the grid for the very first time for him. So to figure out how to overtake Nico Hülkenberg in the race, it took him a couple of laps to understanding exactly how to manage the whole thing. But yeah, with some information from our side and himself being super switched on in the car and taking the right action, he managed it quite nicely. Surprised me many things of this weekend. Again, the zero preparation that we had, and the talent he showed in that weekend, and how quick and fast was in understanding and executing the things that we discussed together beforehand. So, for example, I give him like we got stuck at the radio button for once, and I remember before the session I mentioned very briefly, very quickly, that there was 2 radio buttons in the car, and I realized immediately, and he was able to react very quickly and switching it off. And also in general, the level of the information we provide, it was like behaving like literally a sponge to digest all the information that we provide, and it was very surprisingly good during the race.